This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
It's the Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast.
We're old school, right? We wash our own dirty laundry.
The name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
I refuse to be judged by a grown man wearing a hockey jersey.
Game on! Game on!
We are back with another episode of the Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast, episode number 106. Going to be a fun night tonight. This is the first guest we ever have that is listed in IMDb. So I'm hoping I know it'll be a fantastic show. So we do welcome Earl Skakel, longtime collector, longtime comedian. The list of stuff I was going through is phenomenal. So glad you could join us.
I mean, this is one of the few podcasts where I asked to be on it. It's an honor. It
means a lot. It is really cool that you want to be a part of this. I know you've known Paul for a long time, and we've chatted here and there over the years with jersey lists and different things. So we'll get into all that fun collecting, along with Earl, of course. Wade and Paul join us. So the drink of this evening is one I actually just picked up a bottle of today called Hogsworth. It is a 9-year-old mix bourbon. It's actually made out on the East Coast. I picked it up at a recommendation, so that's my old-fashioned of this evening. Very good, and cheers to everybody.
Cheers.
Speaking of drinking, the Drink Your Face Off line of barware and clothing. Reach out to Mitch if you need any of that. A special note, we are also finalizing some details on a second sponsor, working out some of the finer details there, so they will be announced shortly. Thanks to them for wanting to work with us and just get things sorted out, and we'll make that announcement soon. Another big announcement that dropped today, there's going to be a Chicago Expo coming to Skokie, Illinois, so just the suburbs, if you're not familiar with that area, coming in Saturday, November 15th, so not long, 3 months from tomorrow. Sean Sullivan is one of the guys putting that together. Reach out, let me know about it. So check that one out. I know Wade and I have already been talking about making the trip up there. They are also planning on going. There's a Blackhawks game that night and also a Chicago Wolves game as well. So there'll be some options if people are coming in and want to spend the night and watch one of the games. So if you want to get a table, things like that, reach out to Sean. He's posted in all the groups with all the contact info. Paul, you've got some other expos you wanted to touch on really quick too.
Yeah, just some quick updates, but I should add for Chicago, there's 40 tables available, and it looks like half of them are already claimed.
Wow.
Just on the first day of the announcement.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Should be a great show. It's really good to have one in Chicago again. So I may not be on the show next week. If I am, I'll be calling in from SFO because I have a Thursday night flight for the Dusseldorf Expo, which is August 29th and 30th. I keep mentioning it. And next time I'm on the show, I'll give a summary of it. So looking forward to that one. Airfares are still cheap to Germany. I monitor them every day, and I'm kind of shocked on that. So we mentioned Chicago. We've finalized the San Jose show for January 31st. That's going to be at Calder's again. It's also, this will interest Earl, the Cuda Mania game, where we'll have live wrestling in the parking lot and some wrestling themed stuff during the game. It was a lot of fun that game last year, and it will be interesting to see how they pull it off this year. We do have the theater box this year for that game, which means nothing to everyone else on this podcast, but it's kind of like a large suite that holds up to 50 people. So for those will be included with when you get a table, and we'll have extra tickets for that for sale. And then the big thing we need to talk about is the Vegas show. That's finalized for April 11th, Frozen 4 weekend. We did sign the contract. Today's Thursday, on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think. Yes, just yesterday. Wow, that's not long ago. So we're finalized at New York. I was hoping to have the link to reserve rooms starting today, but I should have that live in the next day or two. The MGM has not provided that to me yet. So April 11th in Vegas, New York, we'll be setting up Friday night or going to the Henderson Silver Knights Barracuda game, and should be a great show, and looking forward to the Frozen Four that weekend. And that's it for things which have changed in the past week on Expos.
And as those links come out, we'll get them to everybody. I know a lot of people are excited about that show and getting tables and booking rooms. So yeah, as fast as Paul gets that, we'll make sure we share it on the podcast, on our pages, on the forum, everywhere else. That stuff will be. You also see it, of course, in the main groups. The Vegas sale starts tomorrow. Do you have the info in front of you? I actually don't. I was trying to find it, couldn't pull it up fast enough.
I'm seeing, I know it's on the website only. Do I still have that live? Hold on.
It's the online Vegas sale, which I
Yeah,
think will go very quickly.
It's the first ever In Case You Missed It sale, running
Which
from
is kind
August
of a
15th.
cool thing. I like that.
Yeah, it starts tomorrow, which is probably today or yesterday when you're listening to this. Probably be easier if I just said starts Friday, August 15th at 8 a.m.
their time.
Yeah. And that continues until August 22nd. And that's on their the Game Worn Authentic webpage for them, which we have a link from Oprah list on there. Everything goes live tomorrow. Well, August 15th. I'll never get that right. Jerseys, sticks, gloves, apparel, and more will be available. And I'm guessing it's a lot of the leftovers from the in-person sale. But that I know that's going to be busy tomorrow. So 8 a.m. Pacific time. I guess that is Vegas. So that's tomorrow, the 15th.
Be interesting to see what people get, what they list, and kind of where the prices fall. So we will try and track some of those things as well. But that covers all of those kind of things. Like I said, I kind of looked around. There were no auctions of any kind or things that I saw.
One more though. Did we mention the Boston one that dropped?
No, I completely forgot about that. I know Justin was upset because half the thing was on auction and half is just in their store online.
Yeah, so it'll be a locker room shopping experience. It looks like Friday, September 12th in the afternoon, like 4 to 8, I think. So that'll be an interesting one too.
It's weird that teams are doing these so late, and I think some are, I guess, are kind of probably line them up with training camp stuff too. But usually you see the big blowouts happen before now. But maybe everybody's come back from vacation and it's time to do it. But with that, we bring in the man, the myth, and definitely the legend, both inside of hockey collecting and out, Mr. Earl Skakel. So again, it means a lot that you wanted to come on, and I know you're a very busy man out in California, seeing a lot of your stuff you share on social media. So I appreciate the time.
Well, I mean, let's get this started off right. Here is the last memorabilia I've gotten is a Pierre-Luc Dubois helmets. My friend works on the Kings, and he's like, nobody liked the guy. What do you want of his? I'm like, I'll take it all.
I like
them.
I think that's a cool helmet, though.
It is. It's I don't know if you can. I mean, it's very chromish, and it fits my head perfectly. So,
and that is the 3D sponsors, right? I mean, it's a 3D patch, isn't it, on the sponsor? Yeah. Sticks up a little bit.
I like that the Kings do that. That it's not just a flat. It's been 3D for quite a while. I do like that they do that.
What can I say? I'm a fan of Pierre-Luc Dubois. I'm a rare.
Well, hopefully this spreads back. I'm assuming he knows, but it'll spread around how big of a fan you are.
I mean, it's a very small group of people in Los Angeles.
You have to rent a small room to have the meetings.
I mean, I knew he was in trouble when in his first interview, he's like, I love the beach. I'm like, oh man, that's not a good sign.
I'm still the only member of the Mike Hoffman St. Louis Blues fan club. So, I mean, I guess we all have our specialties, right?
I mean, probably my number one specialty is being the president and vice president and guy who runs the auctions at the Michel Petit fan club. I was obsessed with him. Like,
that's great.
I thought this guy's the next great defenseman in the league. I really thought that when he fought Probert, and he didn't win, but he didn't lose, and he ends up being on 12 teams. I don't know what happened.
He's just a serious journeyman.
You know, but he hit every check mark you would think, especially in that era of 80s hockey, a big guy, could skate well, scored on the power play, could fight when he had to, was kind of dirty, which was great for that era. And I don't know. It's one of the great mysteries of life to me, why he didn't last longer in one particular spot.
It's crazy to look back at players like that especially in the older days where you thought they would have done so well, and it just they weren't either in it very long or didn't do what anything expected. Now I think it's way different how they recruit, how they draft, but some of those older ones, and the fact that guys would show up smoking cigarettes and stuff the first day of camp shows how much things have changed over the years.
Oh, I used to watch the Kings practice at this very dark and dungy. If you're familiar with the LA area, it was Westchester. It was by the airport, and the I don't know how this was a professional hockey team's practice facility, and you'd see players smoking in the parking lot, and I'm like blown away by that. A couple had some beers in their hand before practice. So nowadays they're drinking milk protein shakes or whatever.
Totally different eras.
Yeah, you came to training camp to get in shape. Now you better be in shape by training camp.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I know a few of the Kings already. What are we, about a month out, and they are already coming to LA. Private trainers, all these weird type of fitness, parkour type training they're doing. And so but that's why a guy like Corey Perry can play in his 40s, and still be good.
Yeah,
totally agree.
So for the people out there listening to this that don't know who you are, and that's a big shame, tell us a little bit about your non-hockey collecting background first.
In terms of my comedy?
Yes, or basically, yeah, just about you for people who don't know. And like I said, it's more of the younger collectors may not be aware of who you are, and I said that's a big shame.
It is. So get on board. So I grew up in LA, born and raised, which is rare in and of itself. I was the same size I am now since the 4th grade. So they literally thought they were going to have to take out my pituitary gland because I was a giant.
How tall are you now?
I'm like 6'1", 6'2", probably 205. Now, I wasn't 205 in the 4th grade, but I was probably 160, 170.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, I was literally like Shaq in that one scene in Blue Chips when he's at the gym. Like, I was dominating. I was the most dominating athlete in Beverly Hills grade school history. And then my first day at Notre Dame High, I was in line for the football tryouts. And I had never seen a kid my age, my size. And there were these 2 African-American kids, probably 6'7", 6'8". And I'm like, what grade are you guys in? They're like, we're freshmen. And I'm like, I think my athletic career just ended. Where are the golf tryouts? Yeah, so people ask me what got me into comedy. 4th grade play, I had one line, and I got a standing ovation. So I've been chasing that laugh. You know, they say when you do heroin for the first time, you're always chasing that first high. I'm still chasing the high of that first laugh I got. I've never surpassed it. So, and then just
you have to give us that line right now, though.
Well, it was 2 girls dressed like not mermaids, maids, and I was the milkman. This sounds like a porno.
It's how they start.
I know, it's really 4th grade play, and they asked me for milk and cookies, and I just shrugged my shoulders and like, yeah, I guess so. And I've never gotten that laughter. I came close on the Shane Doan roast a few times, but you know, I've been hooked on comedy ever since, and just a lifelong hockey fan, which is rare because I'm from LA. And the King games in the late 70s and early 80s weren't on TV out here. Like, wow. You think hockey you think they get bad coverage now? And the Kings had good teams. You know, the Triple Crown line and many other great players, but they just, this was the Lakers and Dodgers town. And so I actually grew up in LA, but a Rangers fan because for some reason I got Ranger games on cable. And that's initially. And I just was obsessed with Barry Beck, who was like this larger than life player back then anyway. Now he wouldn't even be probably the fifth biggest player on his team, but just a lifelong hockey fan. And, here I am with you guys.
And with some of the comedy stuff you've done, and Paul reminded me of it, so I actually watched it today as some backup homework. For anybody that has Paramount Plus, you can go find it there, is Roast Battle. Oh my God, that was fantastic. My wife was watching it when my wife came home. I backed it up like, you got to watch this. And
I mean, yeah.
And you know which episode we're referring to.
I mean, I was on, I think like 5 or 6, but I can guess.
This was
battle.
season 1's the one I watched with you against Jimmy Carr, and then you in the semifinals. And I forgive me, I can't remember the woman comedian's name.
Sarah Tiana.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I love how you just kicked the crap out of Jimmy Carr.
I mean, I had a special strategy, and Jimmy would not leave me alone the whole day. He knew I was up to something. So I had said to someone on the show, hey, get me a clipboard, anything that looks like I'm reading off of it, because that's Jimmy's thing, is he reads his jokes. And I knew if I did what I did, which was throw my clipboard into the crowd and go, I don't need mine. Do you need yours, bitch? And I won the battle on that joke alone, because I did have one joke that didn't work. Dude, I mean, there's nothing like bombing in front of 1,000 people, and you figure around 1 million. Well, it's Comedy Central, so 500,000 people watching on international television. But that was really my first time on TV, and it was in Montreal, so I was excited just to walk around and see the hockey arena. But my first battle, which was against this Australian comic who's very, very funny. There was a guy in the front row with the Kiss Army logo.
Yeah.
Yes.
He had a shirt that said Skakel Army. And
Oh,
I was so scared. I was just staring at the guy, and they were like, Earl, it's your turn for the joke. And I almost lost the battle because I was like, that's pretty cool. There's a guy with a Skakel Army shirt. And it was a highlight for me for sure.
Yeah, anybody that has Paramount Plus, go look up Roast Battle. It was search all the different episodes that Earl was in, because it's hilarious. And the I will say the Hogwarts joke is one I was always hoping somebody would use, and when I heard that, that's top notch comedy.
Well, the joke I kind of messed up on was if I could have read my jokes like certain people, I wouldn't have messed it up. But Jimmy had some issues with his father, and I love Jimmy Carr. He's like the most awesome guy. The complete opposite of. He's like a tough guy, where you think a tough guy would be mean, but they're the nicest guy on the team. But I messed up a joke about his father. Just dead silence in the room. Like oh my God.
So beyond that, you've done some voice work. You were in the Jellies.
Yeah. I'm on. Now the young kids might know who this guy is. Tyler, the Creator, who is a rapper, I guess you'd say, urban artist. And I was the only white guy on the show. I played the dad. And he actually saw me at Roast Battle, and he came up to me after the show, and he was like, I want you to be my father. And like Tyler kind of looks like Roger from What's Happening. So I'm like, it's a little late for that, bro. No, I want you to be the dad of my cartoon. I'm like, well, who are you? He's like, my name's Tyler, the Creator. And I'm like, great, I'm Earl the Comic. And I think he liked that I didn't know who he was. And, I know he got a lot of grief for casting a white guy to play a black father, but my voice is pretty deep. So especially on like $1 million sound system, it's really amazing to, like on a Shure mic, it's deep, but on these, $12,000 mics, it's really Darth Vader-esque. So that was probably my best experience in the entertainment business, because he's so nice and friendly, and he doesn't have a posse. He just has his best friend Lionel, and he's handling success very good.
Awesome. And yeah, and I watched some of those and thought it was really, really well done and again, very funny. So it's cool to have such a wide range of things you're getting to do. Back to the hockey side, what got you into collecting the first time or realizing that you could collect game worn jerseys?
Well, I've always been a fan of the fighters, and which is funny because my very first game worn jersey was an Andrew Raycroft jersey. The goalie who was supposed to be the next big thing for the Bruins. So I thought, well, let me start investing in something that was kind of off the beaten path. And I thought, well, this guy's going to win Vezina after Vezina. I'll just get his preseason number 70 jerseys, and then it didn't quite pan out. How everyone perceived his future. And then I was like, well, I like the tough guys. I'll just start collecting those guys. And, there's many dealers that we all know of that specialize in that. It's a niche portion of the hobby. And I took it to the extreme. I mean, in my peak of collecting, there was a goon league in Quebec, the QSPL, the Quebec Senior Pro Hockey League, and they one team was owned by the Hells Angels.
Gee.
I think it was the Laval Chiefs, and the players lived in the base. They were so cheap, the players lived in the basement of the arena. They got fighting bonuses, and I became so well known in that league as a jersey collector that GMs of the teams in that league were calling me, going, and I don't know how they got my number to this day. Hey, Earl, you collect Link Gates jerseys. Do you know where we can reach Link? I'm like, yeah, I do actually. And I have Link Gates. So I got Link Gates work. Maybe the greatest enigma, at least with hockey fight collectors ever. I think he played on 35 teams, and his jerseys are incredibly scarce in the hobby. And he played on some wacky team, like the Palm Beach Tornadoes. I would love it. I would get back into collecting if someone could get me that.
That's a challenge.
You heard it here, bro. You heard it here first.
Well, the problem is, I'm going to assume they went out of business. Hockey in Palm Beach isn't exactly a hot ticket. So I'm going to assume they ended up in the owner's basement. And I spoke with Link once on the phone, which was, man, I wish I was recording this call. Once again, I don't know how he got my number. And he's like, are you the guy in California who collects my jerseys? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you want any more? I'm like, yeah, I'll pay you for them. He's like, I won't say exactly what he said. He was like, F it, I'll just send them to you. I stole them all anyway. And I just the thought of Link Gates at the post office trying to navigate the shipping price was very funny to me. But of course, he never sent them. And then he put me on the phone with his mother. And the poor mom was like, oh, Earl, my son's just really misunderstood. Cut to the next day, he gets kicked off the team he was on for one punching the owner of the team he was on. So
that usually does it.
Well, with Link, there's many stories about him. Some probably safe to say, some probably not. And because my favorite picture of him is, I don't know if you guys have seen it, where he got kicked out of the game in Quebec. So he just goes into the lobby with his skates on, no skate covers, of course, and he just orders a hot dog and he starts taking pictures with fans as he's eating the hot dog. And I have that jersey upstairs, I might add.
That's phenomenal. That's one of the better photo matches too. It's a story that once it's told, nobody will forget.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I love the fighters. I just always, I guess you could say Barry Beck was somewhat of a fighter, so he kind of got me into the rougher style of play.
They all tend to have really good personalities. I think that's the thing I've discovered in my years, and the tough guys usually all have some kind of screw loose, or they've got something interesting about them. So it does make them interesting, you know, parts of the hobby.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've only had one negative experience with a tough guy, Kelly Bookberger. He was kind of, I should say, short with me because. Let me preface this in his defense. My friend used to be the stick boy in the Kings, and this is when they played at the Forum, and there was the Airport Plaza was literally, now it's SoFi Stadium. This whole venue it took up like three different areas, and so when I knew, say, the Quebec Nordiques were in town, I would call, and they weren't using fake names because they probably figured no one cares, and I would call Darren Kimball's room, and he talked to me for like 45 minutes. I couldn't get him to shut up, and then Kelly Bookberger hung up on me. I get it. He probably is a nice guy.
Yeah, that's great.
So, who was your very first enforcer you bought?
Well, it's the first authentic, enforcer. Was Jeff Brubaker. I bought a Blue Rangers number 17 because he was like the Tex Cobb of hockey fighters. He could just take a punch. He could hit his head on the ice. Nothing. He wouldn't bleed. He was really, he was not human. But the first game worn enforcer, I think, was an Ed Kostelic Phoenix Roadrunners jersey because they had brought him in I think '89, and he hurt his knee, so he had to retire. But I was very excited when it was announced he was in the Kings training camp because he was a favorite of mine from Hartford and the Capitals, and I remember seeing him standing next to Charlie Huddy, who was probably about my size, and he towered over Charlie Huddy. They were they were watching some preseason game, and I'm like, I can't wait to see this animal out there. And of course, he got hurt, and that was the great thing when the Kings got Gretzky. They just filled the team with tough guys. I mean, it was, I think Gretzky's first year in '88, they had Baumgartner, Jay Wells, Dean Kennedy. They traded for Jay Miller, and they had Larry Playfair on the wing. I mean, no one was going to touch Gretzky. And then and I just started collecting probably in the mid '90s, late '90s.
Now, do you find it through dealers, or how did you know this was kind of a thing?
I think I started seeing ads in the back of the Hockey News for hockey fight tapes. I'll never forget the guy. Oh, we can't say names, but this guy named Andrew would sell hockey fight tapes in the Hockey News. And then I think Byron's. Oh, can I mention the dealer?
No, you're good with that. It's just it's just when if there's negative stuff, we don't. So yeah, positive stuff, you're good.
Okay, I'm very negative, so I'm trying to help. I'm like Rambo in the hardware store at the end of the first movie. I'm like, everyone's out to get me. So Byron's Hockeyland, I think I saw an ad for them, and what's this? And Milt was very nice to me in his way, and then I saw My Gray, which they were very detailed oriented, and then a few other dealers that I bought from who specialize in my niche category, and then I just became obsessed with you'd see a fight on YouTube, and it was just mind blowing to me that you could call up one of these dealers and go, yeah, I'd like that shirt Larry Melnick just fought Dave Brown in, and bam, you get it when they get it. I just and I started doing comedy maybe a little bit after I started collecting, and I had stage fright in the very beginning of my career, so I would wear these game worn jerseys on stage, and I felt like they were shielding me from the bad juju.
I love that. Give you a little enforcer power there.
Yeah, I'd go to like the Comedy Store, and I wasn't very good at the time, to be honest with you. So I'd put on like a I don't know, a Roger Maxwell Providence Bruins jersey that he started a brawl in. And I thought, no, nothing could touch me now. Come at me, hecklers. Or a Joel Therio, Verdun Dragons jersey. And then as I stopped wearing the jerseys because my first TV show was a show called One Night Stand Up. And the girl it's a dating show, and she doesn't see you. She hears your act. So I thought, I'm going to wear this Matthew Barnaby Rangers jersey. And just as I'm being called to the stage, I mean, we're live. The creator of the show grabs me and goes, "What the F are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, this is my shtick. It's like kiss and makeup." He's like, "You can't wear that because of the logos, you idiot." And I'm cleaning up the language. So I had to take the Barnaby jersey off, and I had some god-awful Affliction shirt on. I've never bombed so bad in my life. And I didn't have to worry about a date with a girl.
And it does, I mean, it makes sense, but it's unfortunate because I understand why, but still, come on. Nobody's gonna cause an issue over that.
I mean, besides you married guys, let's be honest. Most of us collecting jerseys don't get to go on dates with girls either. So, I mean, Earl, like you were just ahead of the time a little bit.
Well, I mean, I got what he was looking back. I go, okay, the Rangers probably aren't going to be in on this joke I do about porn.
Yeah.
Just why, if you ever watch a late night comic on television, they're either in all black or just all neutral colors. There's no logos. You notice they never focus in on the shoes because the network is basically saying, "Hey, Nike's not paying us, so we're not going to show this guys wearing their shoes." I understand it now, but back then I was so excited. My first time on TV, and it turns out it wasn't my first time on TV because I didn't make the cut.
With doing your stand-up and wearing those, did you have anybody come up after shows or anything and ask about the jerseys at all, or just kind of?
Yeah. Almost every show, they'd be like, "Who's this guy? Who's Mick Bakota?" And who's Dave, I think I had a Dave Brown shirt, and it looked ridiculous because if you know about Dave Brown, I think it was his right sleeve was custom sewn, so it basically was like a second layer of skin, so you couldn't grab onto it. You literally would there was nothing to grab, which was his plan, so he could pound you with his right. And then I started, when YouTube started becoming popular with comics putting up clips, I would get the players themselves. "Hey, you want my jersey? I fought Dave Semenko in this jersey." And Tim Hunter I met at a surf shop in Beverly Hills. It was the weirdest. It's probably my favorite celebrity encounter ever. So I'm in this surf shop buying shorts or something. 15-year-old kid behind the counter. Blonde hair, super tan. You could tell he was just a surf rat. And Tim Hunter's in line with me. And it was just surreal because you would not think Tim Hunter would be in a surf shop. And we all remember Tim Hunter's nose. And the kid goes, I'll clean up the language, "Whoa, bro, what the F happened to your nose?" And Tim Hunter looked at me and goes, "You want to tell him?" I'm like, "Gord Donnelly, first period, Quebec City, Jack." And the kid was like, "Who's Gord Donnelly?" I'm like, "Just give me my shorts." So that's my Tim Hunter story.
It's funny though, because when I got big into collecting, probably 96, 97, 98. And I remember early on and past that point is hearing stories about you as wearing your jerseys on stage and different things like that. And just, you were on this pedestal of one of the big collectors, and especially with doing the comedy and wearing the jerseys out there. It was like, "Oh, that's so cool." And all those kinds of things. And it's just funny to look back and see how that's still, I know you're not wearing them now, but just how far that's carried.
Oh, I would, if I ever did Montreal again as a stand-up, I would, the Just for Laughs festival, I would wear I've got a few Canadians jerseys up there still. I think of George Larac. jersey, which was great because I got to sit next to George on the Shane Doan roast, and he is a big man. Like, and it's weird. You can tell he doesn't really work out. He's just a large human. So,
And we will share the link to that roast because oh my god, that is funny.
It's my finest hour. Like if someone said, send us a clip of you being funny, it could be from Roast Battle, it could be from the Jellies or whatever else, I would send them the Shane Doan roast because it was just awesome. Like, he was a great guy. Shane, George was awesome, and
So you pounded George into the ground with some of the comments you made.
Well, I was really more scared with Shane because he came up to me before the roast, and he might not look that big on TV, but his hands oddly were bigger than George's. He's just maybe a little taller than me, but you talk about mitts. And he shakes my hand and he's like, I've heard about you, Earl. You can do whatever you want with me, but don't make fun of my daughters or wife. And I'm like, you got it, bro. No problem. And it's funny, I saw him this year at the Kings rookie tournament they had, with Vegas and San Jose and Utah. And he just came up to me and was like, I remember you still. I'm like, hey, man, I'm off the clock, Jack. Yeah, that was an honor.
How did you end up getting that? Did they reach out to you knowing that you had a big hockey fan background?
Yeah, they said, hey, you're the guy who used to wear jerseys. Do you want to roast Shane Doan? And I'm like, well, who else is going to be there? And they're like, well, George LaRock and Darcy Hordichuk. I think he was supposed to be on the roast, but he was just in the crowd. And Tyson Nash. He was in the
Wade and I are very familiar with Tyson Nash, being him playing in St. Louis for a while.
Oh, I hated that guy, but I loved to have him. It's like Corey Perry on the Kings now. I would have loved to have Nash on the Kings, and he was super nice. And there was a couple minor league tough guys there. It was awesome. Like, it was definitely like how I wish every gig went. Like, you're in there with a bunch. You're a hockey fan. You're in there with this legend and Shane Doan and. Of course, George LaRock, he's like one of my favorites. And I wish every gig was as fun as that night.
Did LaRock say anything to you afterwards with the jokes you made?
He's like, you're pretty funny, man. And I'm like, that's it, George. We could just leave it.
A man of few words.
Well, I can't emphasize this enough. He's so big. Like, and I'm sure he works out, but like, he's just massive. Like, I've never seen someone with that body mass, and he's not. He's about, I guess, about 280 at least back then, and he wasn't fat. Like, he was just, and he's vegan, which is crazy because usually vegans lose weight, and it was just I was scared sitting next to him because. He saw me looking at my jokes because I had my iPad and he was writing stuff down, and he just looked at me before I went up and he was just like shaking his head. Man, I hope this goes well.
And it seemed like it did because as they panned the crowd and stuff, everybody seemed to really enjoy it. I wish they did more of those and put them out to the public.
I think that was the plan, at least. In Arizona, I think they wanted to do one with Larry Fitzgerald. They wanted to make it like a yearly, almost like the Comedy Central roast, but like with Arizona-based celebrities, I guess. But I'm not quite sure what happened. I'll guess that Larry Fitzgerald was like, because some celebrities don't like being roasted. It's more or less, who the F is Earl Skakel? Why? I'm not going to have him say stuff about, my playing career or, my family or, Shane got it. He was like a great sport. And, obviously I'm making jokes about him never winning a Stanley Cup. And, this guy's a legend. Like, I'd love to have Shane Doan's career. But he understood what a roast is. Some people don't.
And it makes sense, but it's unfortunate that more teams don't do those things and then put them out publicly because they are when it's on and when the players into it or whoever's being roasted into it is makes it so much more just much funnier.
Well, I was asked to do a roast of the LA Kings I don't know, 2 years ago, and they had me submit the jokes. It was like a private team party. It was just for the players and their families and like the GM and anyone associated with the team. And so when they got my jokes, they were like, "We don't think so, dude." Like, I might get some jokes. Like, I had some pretty funny jokes about Brendan Lemieux. This is when he was on the team, maybe 2 years ago, and Blake Lazat, and they're like, "Yeah, you can't say that. These guys are going to get pissed." I'm like, "Well, it's a roast. Like that's the whole point." And then they can make fun of me, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to give your jokes to one of our announcers, and he'll pick and choose what he wants to use." And so that's the last time I got offered to do a roast.
Oh, unfortunate. Yeah, that's very, very unfortunate. So and again, you've been in the hobby a really long time. What are some of the challenges or issues that you've seen in the hobby? And then a follow up to that is kind of how do you feel the hobby is now? Because I know you're not as active as you used to be.
Yeah, I mean, some of the challenges for me was just, I think when, I want to say the name of the dealer. It's in a good way. Can you edit this out if it's not to your liking?
Yeah, nope, you're good. I trust.
No. I think when Migrate came in and started taking over the hobby, which I liked, just because you knew what they were selling was what it was. That some dealers started taking shortcuts, and that was like my initial descent, I guess you'd say, out of the hobby was, stand up and acting and voiceovers. It's a very stressful business, and I know people all the time are like, "How is it stressful?" But there's a lot of pressure. So the hobby for me was a way to forget about the pressure for an hour. Let me research this Wade Belak jersey, and it'll take me away from worrying about the audition I just did. And so I think it's just really deciding who to trust. And, that could fall in line with, I guess, some collectors who maybe weren't the most honest. And because, these things are expensive. Even if it's a $200 Rudy Poshek Flint Spirits jersey, $200 is a lot of money. And then when you get to the elevated guys at the time, like a Donald Brashear or a LaRock or Link Gates, I mean, his jerseys at one point would go for $3,000 and up, just because it was he was like a mythical figure almost. And Probert jerseys obviously were like the benchmark of expensive tough guy jerseys. So I think when there's the amount of, and you guys know this much more than I do, when the money that's involved in these things is out there, you get people maybe who cut corners, and it was like, man, this sucks. And in terms of where the hobby is today for tough guy collectors, it's virtually non-existent. I mean, I took collecting so seriously, I would scout the junior leagues. I'd say, okay, who's this guy Thomas Bellemare who plays for Drummondville, 300 penalty minutes? That's crazy. I put him in my almost like stocks to watch column. And nowadays I think if you fight 3 times in junior hockey, you're suspended. Not in one game, but the whole season. So it's and the lack of fighting in the NHL. There's maybe Rempe and Tom Wilson and maybe Tanner Jeannot, and McDermott when he plays. So it's weird. I have mixed feelings because the lack of fighting has made my collection more valuable, because it's I guess my collection essentially now is vintage. Even a guy like, say, Christoph Oliwa, his shirts are in demand because, I think that last season he had, and it was Columbus, he had like 32 fights in one season, which is crazy. Nowadays, you're lucky if, I think Tanner Jeannot last year for the Kings had 6, and he was the leader. So I don't know how it is on other areas of the hobby, but for tough guys, it's, you know, like I said before we started talking, I'm not going to buy a Rempe jersey that he had 2 fights in for, $1,000. You'll never get your money back on that.
Well, and part two, just with the number worn compared to what the fighters when you were collecting did. What you'd have two sets, maybe 3 if you were lucky, and they'd be beat to hell. Now you're happy when you get a few repairs, or you can see something with the modern fabric too. You don't see that stuff torn in fights like the old stuff was.
Yeah, I mean the Edge jerseys, at least for fighters, they showed nowhere. And you want that dirty, grungy jersey. I remember a couple Quebec Nordique jerseys I had. Like they looked like they had been put around a tank tire and just driven through the desert. And it was fun to get like a Gord Donnelly, a white Quebec Nordiques jersey. It looked like a firing squad had shot him. There were so many holes and rips and tears. So you don't get jerseys like that anymore. And I don't know about Fanatics because I don't have a Fanatic jersey in my collection.
Neither does Paul.
Yeah, good job, Earl. I appreciate that. So
I'm setting you up, Paul.
I can tell. Yes.
So, because I know you had mentioned that maybe you weren't the biggest fan of them, but I probably stopped collecting, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 years ago. So I'm unfamiliar with, the newer jerseys. Now Adidas, I don't have one Adidas jersey in my collection. So
Wow.
You definitely yearn for the CNN. Sorry, I've been watching too much news. Yeah, CNN's now in the jersey market. That would be something. The old CCN jerseys, or my favorite minor league jersey manufacturer was AK.
Yeah,
because their shirts were so heavy. Like I've got some Orlando Seals jersey of Andrew Katzberg, and they're like leather dusters. They're so heavy. Those days are over, I guess.
So what is your favorite jersey of the collection?
Oh, without a doubt, this is probably the worst way to say it, especially with the fires that we had out here last year. But with my last girlfriend, notice I said last. She said, "If this house is on fire, what do you take?" And I got some. Nice
I'm guessing the answer, since she's last girlfriend, was not you.
I don't know. She probably would have started the fire, to be honest with you. I said the Eric Bolton 9/11 jersey I have. I've been offered crazy money for that. Not because it's Eric Bolton, but just because, and you guys would know this more than I think I've seen one Sabres jersey from that game for sale. And it was like a really low, I don't want to say low level player. I mean, you're in the NHL, you're not low level, but it was like a not Gilles Hamel, but it was like a fourth line. And I would never sell the shirt because I don't want to make money off of 9/11, but it is a pretty, because he had fought Sandy McCarthy in the game. So, there was blood on it when I got it. And, just because of the memory, that'd be the one jersey I'd like to keep.
And it's funny because you mentioned that, because it seems like semi-regular basis, you see the New York ones come up, but you don't see the Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, I bid on the McCarthy jersey. I probably bid a little too much, but if you remember the auction, all the funds went to the New York firefighters and the police. So I probably overindulged. I bid on 3 jerseys: the Bolton, the McCarthy, and the Steve McKenna jersey, just to cover my bets. And I ended up winning the McKenna. I mean, that was game issued, but pre-game worn. So that's a weird. I don't know how collectors if they would feel it's game worn or not, but and that jersey was close to $2,000.
Wow.
think the Bolton, because they also get you with the hammer fee, as you know, like
Yeah.
you get caught up in the emotion of especially that auction, and I think the final bid, it was like $2,900 or $3,000. I'm like, oh, that's not too bad. That goes to a good cause. And then you get the 20% fee on top of that. It's like, oh boy, this is a good thing comedy pays well. And it reminds me of probably my funniest auction story is I'm a big Gord Donnelly fan. You know, I liked how he played, and he, I guess, had, fallen on financial distress. So he put up 10 jerseys of his for auction. I want to say it was through Classic, maybe. I forget. And I thought, I'm going to bid on all 10 jerseys. Just I'll figure and I'll win 2. I'll be happy with that. I won all 10. So that was.
But you were surprised.
Gord was happy. I was not, but some of them were he played in Austria, so there was some really cool Austrian league jerseys that I've never seen before, and a couple of his Nordique jerseys. And he had bounced around. He was like the Michel Petit of the minor leagues toward the end of his career. He would just bounce around. So that's why auctions were. I stopped doing auctions after that one.
But at least they combine shipping.
100%.
I mean, that's a slight benefit. Besides that story, any other crazy either ways you got jerseys, or when you got a jersey that was torn up weird, or just something really oddball about one of the ones you have?
Probably the funniest is the Bolton jersey, because apparently, there's only, I think, 23 shirts made for each team. So you got 46 jerseys. They did not wash them after the game. Apparently, they just sat in a pile somewhere in Madison Square Garden in a secured room. And the auction, I think the process took about a month and a half. Now, we all know how bad one jersey smells. So when you get 46 jerseys unwashed in a room for 2 months, it's a significant smell. And I'll never forget opening up the box, ripping it open, and the smell was like that scene in Apocalypse Now where they drop the napalm. Like, it was unbelievable. And the McKenna jersey was in there as well, so that stunk. But I was so excited to get the Bolton jersey, I wore it to an open mic that night. And nobody would sit next to me. I mean, I can't tell you how bad this. I mean, 2 months in a damp, cold room in the bottom of a basement in the garden.
Oh my God.
Ungodly.
Did you hang out the window of the car as you were driving, hoping to air some of that off?
No, I didn't care at all back then. I smelled for 3 days after that, and then I think I had to get the shirt dry cleaned. It was so bad.
Wow.
Blood on it. So I was like, "Hey, can you not get the blood out?" And the guy at the Asian guy at the dry cleaning place, and I know that's stereotypical, but he was Asian. He's like looking at me, going, "You don't want the blood out?" I'm like, "No, if you can keep it, like if you could put like a tape over it, so I want the blood still on it." And he's like, "What about the smell? Do you want that on it still?" I'm like, "No, you can get rid of that."
Yeah, please, as fast as you can.
Oh, it was ungodly. I mean, it was like the McKenna jersey didn't smell that bad for some reason, but the Bolton was like, I'm surprised hazmat unit didn't show up in my apartment.
Jeez. But it's funny how many times, even to this day, we see that with the outdoor games, the winter classics, things like that, where they pull them right off their back and then don't even bother to wash them and just ship them. And then you see as people get them, oh my God, I opened the box, it's awful. It's like, it doesn't take that long to wash them.
Oh,
come on.
But the blood might have come out. So.
Right. Nobody fights these days. There's no bloods in the modern one.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I mean, I can't. Someone asked me the other day, who do you think the top 5 fighters are in the league? And I struggled with naming 5 people. I think agitators now are the new tough guys. So for the Kings, it's Corey Perry. For the Ducks, I mean, Gudis, I guess. I mean, he doesn't fight, but he starts a lot of stuff. So, I mean, every now and then if someone said to me, "Hey, I've got one of those USA jerseys from the World or from the Four Nations tournament. You want one of the that was fought in?" I might dabble my toes back in the hobby for one of those, but just there's no fighting anymore. I mean, they even in the Quebec League, which, like I said, was the league was based around fighting. I mean, every team had 6 to 10 tough guys on their team. Like the games would take hours to play, and they wouldn't kick guys out, so you could fight 3 to 5 times a game, and guys were getting paid bonuses to fight. Even that league doesn't really let you fight anymore. So it's just, that's why I'm both happy and sad about getting out of the hobby when I did, but because the fighting's been on a huge decline. I mean, 10 years, maybe 15 years. So, it's made my collection, I guess. I mean, I get messages every week. "Hey, do you have a shirt with wear?" I'm like, "Yeah, actually, I do."
Let me send you the list.
Yeah, get some coffee and look at the list.
Right. What's one jersey you wish you could own?
Probably the Troy Crowder jersey he beat Probert in that first that game in New Jersey. I'll never forget. It was opening night, and when I went, the Kings played that night as well, and the buzz in the arena that night was, "Did you hear what happened to Probert? Some guy that hasn't played hockey in 4 years, he beat him up, bloodied him bad." And I mean, it was just like, this is kind of before not the internet, but like YouTube, or, now we could pull up a clip of that fight right now, all 4 of us, yeah, 4 of us. Sorry, I went to USC, my math's a little off. But back then it was like word of mouth, and oh man, I can't wait to see the fight when I buy a tape from Andrew in the Hockey News in 3 months. Hockey fights back, that was what, I think 88, maybe. So that shirt is significant because I'm a Troy Crowder fan. So that'd be one I would love to have. But how do you prove it? Like they didn't really keep the most accurate records back then. So I would want absolute proof that this is the fight. This is the jersey from that particular fight.
Sure. Now, especially with your background in that, if you could either sit down and interview or roast any enforcer, who would it be?
Oh, Link Gates by far. Like, I don't know if I
would
would
he
want
get it?
I mean, I don't know how the hell you would find him, but I mean, he like lives life off the grid. But just because he's such a mythical figure to hockey fight collectors, like I think people who just collect, normal, I don't want to say normal players, but like a TJ Oshie fan is probably not going to know who Link Gates is, but he just had such a, showing up to the draft with 2 black eyes because he got into a fight the night before the draft. And it's still my favorite quote ever of any general manager, where it was Lou Nanne, and I think he said, I drafted Mike Modano to save the franchise. I drafted Link Gates to save Mike Modano. And in the 3rd round, I drafted a lawyer to save Link Gates. He would be, because he's for someone who played on so many teams and had such a storied career, you rarely see him interview. So, I would love to talk to him again, because I could tell on the phone. I mean, not to make it a sad story, but I could tell he was a little groggy. So I don't know now what kind of shape he's in, but he's definitely like an icon to me.
Well, and if anybody has connections, reach out. We'll put Earl and Link in touch with each other.
I'm going to assume Link Gates would not be good getting his Zoom link. It's just an assumption.
Hey, I mean, you could always maybe his mom will help him.
Well, his mom was so sweet. I felt so sorry for her because she was on the phone with me for 15 minutes saying, "Earl, my son just misunderstood. He's really a teddy bear. He loves kids. He loves dogs." When you get kicked off of a team in the Quebec Senior League, you've got some problems.
That's funny.
I will say, can I say one more
Yeah,
player?
oh, of course.
Because I briefly met him at the Kings rookie tournament, and I never get starstruck. I'm around celebrities every night. So I see Jim Carrey one night, I see Joe Rogan that night, but when I saw George McPhee walking towards me, I had to say, and he's a GM. These rookie tournament games are like scouting missions for other teams. And I had to stop him. And he's kind of intimidating because he's only about 5'9", but he's got this glare in his eyes that I would not want to see him mad. And I said, "Hey, Mr. McPhee, you're one of the first fighters I ever followed. And I loved it when you kicked Hospodar's ass at the center ice." And he got real intense. He's like, "Yeah, he had aggression. I didn't like that." I mean, he was fired up. And I would like to interview him for a longer period. He was very nice and took a picture, and he seems like he would have some good stories.
And a lot of those older enforcers, Wade and I both been lucky to go to events where they've had in St. Louis where they've had some of the older enforcers come in and tell some of those stories, and in a few cases put the video of the fight up in the background and have both guys involved talking about it, and it's great to do those kind of things. Trying to think of a couple of the ones. Reed Lowe versus Stu Grimson, and again, you mentioned in some of the enforcers just being the nicest guys is Grimson, who's super intimidating, as big as he is. Both the most chill, nicest guy that I've ever met.
Yeah, I mean, I had Ed Hospodar. You have to be of a certain age to remember who Ed was, but he was one of the first enforcers I really followed. I had him on my podcast a couple of years ago, and he couldn't have been any nicer. Like, he calls me up from time to time. He might have had a few beers in him, the last message, and it's just surreal to me that I have a message from Ed Hospodar on my phone. And I had this mission I was on to bring him and Barry Beck together because they started off as line mates or defensive mates in New York, and then as soon as Ed went to Philly, they must have not liked each other very much because every game they would go after each other. And there's a great clip. They must have had the boards mic'd, and it was the Rangers and the Flyers. It was a little scrum, and I think Ron Sutter had pushed Beck, and Beck pushed him back. And then Hospodar comes flying in like Superman, and I can't say what he said, but it's a pretty well-viewed clip on YouTube, and the mic is picking up everything Beck is saying to Hospodar. Like, whoa, these guys do not like each other. So, and I had Chris Nyland on. He was the last interview I did, and he was like awesome. Like, just like I said, maybe I could mend fence with Kelly Buchberger, down the road.
Now, do you know of any other famous people across anything that collect hockey jerseys? You don't have to give names. I'm just curious if there's anybody else that does.
Not really. I mean, there's a casting director. It depends. What's famous to some people isn't what famous to other people, but he's a very well-known casting director. He's a huge hockey fan, and he has a small collection. He's actually the one who was the casting director in Con Air, so he put Marty McSorley in it as the pilot that John Malkovich shoots. So it's because it's still, I think, the hockey jersey community. It's big, but it's kind of smaller than you think. So it's not that well publicized. Like, you have to know it's there. Like, when I tell people about my gray all the time, like, yeah, you can watch a Ranger game and see Rempe fight. You could order the jersey tomorrow, and you get that jersey. And they're like, "What's my gray?" And other dealers don't mean to pick on Barry. So I don't, especially in LA. I'm in LA, so I mean, hockey's always going to take a back seat to most. People collect more like football jerseys. O.J. Simpson is still a hot collectible guy. People would rather buy a USC game worn jersey than say, Tanner Jeannot third set Kings playoff jersey.
Do the OJ jerseys come with blood on them?
They come with one glove. OJ was my neighbor as a kid, so
Holy crap!
he was good to me. I got no problem with him, but like most of the line.
He killed it later in his career for sure.
Allegedly. YouTube terms of service. He was really nice to me as a kid. That's the crazy thing. Like, because I grew up in this has nothing to do with collecting, so I'll shorten the story. I grew up in Bel Air, but so people say, oh, you're rich. But my dad bought a home in the 60s when Bel Air was just a suburb. It was basically a canyon with no homes in it. And he was one of the first homes. And there's a famous Bel Air fire that burned down literally every home but ours. My dad was literally on the roof with a garden hose. And
wow,
it was almost on the level of the fires we had earlier this year. So after that, celebrities for some reason started to move in. And so it was OJ, it was Kareem, lived right down the street, Harry Nielsen for you music fans. So I grew up in a very strange environment. Like we were like the Addams family of Bel Air. We were probably the poorest family in Bel Air, but we were there.
That's funny. Waiter Paul, you got any questions for Earl?
Obviously you're not super actively collecting, but how many jerseys do you still have? Like, and are you still connected to the ones you do have?
Well, that's the craziest part. Is I was probably at my peak over 1,000, because then, like, I guess I want to say toward the tail end of my prime in the jersey world, teams started sending me jerseys for free. They'd be like, "Hey, we saw your clip on this show. Do you want one of our jerseys?" And they, yeah, we'll make yeah, fine, that's fine. I'll wear it on stage, but I got some requirements. Like, oh, we'll put your name and number on it. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work for me. I need one that's been fought in. And so they would send me a game worn fought jersey, and I'd wear it, and they'd show it on their social media or whatever. I'd say now I have between 400 and 450. So, I probably half of what I used to have. And, I probably get, let's say, 10 messages a week from collectors. And, I'm very, since I'm very lucky to make a living in comedy and voiceovers and whatnot. I'm very, I think I'm pretty fair with my pricing. Some people disagree, but, because I love getting someone a jersey. I remember the feeling when you'd rip open the box and just to touch the jersey and put it on maybe. And I love giving people that feeling, even though
cool.
I love the hobby and I always will, but it's time for me to let others enjoy the shirts more than I do.
Sure. I've said it many times on the show, and I say it to collectors all the time. I mean, we're just keepers of this stuff, at some point it'll become somebody else's, so I appreciate your perspective on that. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, I'll never forget the feeling of getting certain, the Bolton shirt. I can remember, putting the box on my bed and acting like I had ants in my pants. I literally turned into Lou Ferrigno opening up this box, and it was like that for a long time for me. But just, I think, with the lack of fighting, and weaning, probably the last 10 or so years, maybe even longer than that. My heart slowly started to leave the collecting side of it, and then maybe a couple bad experiences with certain people was like, okay, it's time for me to release my babies into the wild.
It's unfortunate that there are, as many great people that are in our hobby, there are always a few bad ones, and we try to judge by the good ones, not the bad ones. So I'm sorry you had some bad experiences.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, you guys are amazing. Like, if everyone in the hobby was like you guys, and a couple of other friends back east, Anthony Pagano is awesome to deal with, and our friend John, our mutual friend John, we all try to get each other jerseys back in the day. Like, hey, Earl, you like Barry Beck? Here's a lead on a Beck jersey. Oh, you guys like this?
Yeah.
you need me to trade one of my jerseys to help you guys get that jersey, let me know. And you know, all the people at the California Expo. I mean, it was just, or the LA. What was that called, Paul? Was it
that was the Southern Cal Expo. It's now changing to the LA County Expo.
Yeah, I mean, what are they? The Angels, the California Angels of Anaheim?
Well, no, it's going to be closer to downtown LA, so you don't have to drive all the way up to, where was it? Valencia.
Listen, I'd rather drive to Valencia than downtown LA. I don't know if you've seen the news lately, but you know, and some real. I've had so many fun memories in this hobby. Like when we used to go to the ice dog auctions. Like we all knew you had to battle the puck bunnies for certain players. Now, Roger Maxwell, who was my tough guy friend, he was not one the puck bunnies liked, but there was a French kid, and I still talk to him, named Jimmy Bonneau. And I think he has something to do with the Sharks' development hierarchy, because he played for the Barracudas for a bit toward the end. Good-looking kid. So,
I might still have some of his jerseys. I'll have to check for you. Maybe we'll get you back in the hobby for that. So.
Well, Jimmy, I talked to him a lot. Like, just a super sweet kid who got to fulfill most of his fantasies. But you know, when he was in Long Beach, he was absolutely the best looking guy on the team. So there was a collector out there named Rando, and he would literally. It was just like he would stand in front of the Jimmy Bonneau line and just like asking questions, and he would have me slide in front of him and do the bid, and then he would like basically block the puck bunnies from bidding until the auction was over, and then he would just turn around and walk away. And you know, I would do the same for him. And there was like a group of like I think 8 or 9 Southern California collectors who we would all like. That's my dog coughing. Sorry about that. I tears are coming into my eyes because of the fun we used to have. So many more good memories than bad, and I think 85% of the people in the hobby are awesome.
But right there, that's it. You telling that story and bringing back the flood of memories, and you may not own any of the jerseys that you just talked about, but all the memories and hanging out with your friends is there. And that's what we keep trying with this podcast and going to expos and doing the things, is getting people to understand it's more than just the sweater.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said earlier, it's almost like a combo of a hobby and a business. You know, and I get it. Like you can make good money on these jerseys. I don't think you can off the modern jerseys of, say, the last few years, unless it's like Ovechkin's, you know, some of those jerseys he wore in various milestone games. My dog's got a 3-pack a day habit. Sorry about that.
You're good.
People think I'm torturing her, but she's got a collapsed trachea. But anyway, so it's a fine line between why I got into the hobby. I never got into the hobby to flip a jersey. I certainly have, you know, now that I'm, you know, for the most part out of it. But, you know, the business end of it probably would have driven me out as well. Cause like you guys may differ, but like if you buy a Curtis McDermott jersey, I'm going to guess they go around $750 for his jerseys. In 2 years, you'd be lucky if you got $450 for it. So it's like, as big of a McDermott fan as I am, I'm not going to take that hit anymore.
Yeah.
So you know that was another tough part for me. Is
I changed the way I collect over the last couple of years because of that same thing. You know, I used to try to collect a lot of all the players that came through the Blues organization and tried to get a lot of jerseys. But I realized how much money I was spending on guys that weren't here or weren't going to be here or weren't really my favorite players. So I really kind of changed the way that I bid in our auctions and the way I do it, because what you said, I realized that when I'm buying that 3rd or 4th line guy that's going to be in a blue for maybe 2 seasons, and then we're going to refill that position with somebody younger or better. And then that jersey that I spent 600 or 700 in an auction is going to be worth 300. It just financially didn't make sense to keep collecting that way. So
Yeah.
great view on your end.
I mean, it's just and hockey tough guys are like, maybe you have to collect those in a different way than, like there's that one guy in Edmonton. I think he has like all the Gretzky jerseys. Sean, is it
Sean Chalk. Yep.
Gretzky jerseys will never lose their value. They might take a little dip here and there, but like, tough guy jerseys really, to show you how they plummeted, at least in my era, like Donald Brashear jerseys used to be $750 and up, and you would get the up price more times than not. And the last Brashear jersey I bought was from, he played in that Quebec league. God knows how they afforded to pay him, but it's probably, some of those teams have interesting financing. The last jersey I bought of his was from the Sorel team, Sorel, Quebec. $180 from Canada shipped. Whereas, 5-6 years before that probably is the $2,000 jersey to tough guy collectors.
Now, do you think that based upon the league that it's in, it was a drop? Because maybe, I would still assume that a nice Donald Brashear NHL jersey would still hold a premium.
Not really. I'm kind of a Brashear expert just because, I started getting into these weird. My collection is a niche collection. I would get like Jewish enforcers, and I probably not. This isn't bragging, but I probably have the largest African American jersey collection. Peter Worrell, Brashear, Anson Carter. I don't know how he got in there. He's not typical of the player I would collect. And George Laraque and Boko Imama and whatnot. Brashear jerseys have dropped across the board.
Really?
Yeah, he's not the most popular player just because of this is the niche part of hockey fighting collecting. Most collectors hated the style he did, which was, they called him Huggy Bear, because he would just give you noogies and. So, I would say maybe the only Brashear shirt that would hold its value, and this is the macabre part of the hobby, is the one McSorley hit him in the head. Is a significant. I guess it's a historical jersey from the standpoint of the suspension and the story behind it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Paul, have you got questions?
Well, yeah, a couple questions, couple comments. So you've helped me out over. Sorry, Earl. You've helped me out over the years with certain jerseys and stuff. Some Jody Shelley stuff, which you were the person always to go to for that. So always thank you. I do have one jersey in my collection I got from you that kind of goes against my usual rules. It's not game worn, but it's a Michigan jersey with your name on it. That was stage worn by you. I was assuming you remember that one. So
why don't you tell the fans what number it was?
It had your name on it, and they probably already guessed it's number 69. So
yes, I don't know why I got a mission. I love this. It was a satin jersey, if I'm recalling.
Yes, yeah.
And Paul's been so good to me, and here's the crazy thing about me is I probably sold or traded. I've sent out probably 600 or 700 packages in my lifetime, maybe more. I've only lost one package, and that was to a collector I still talk with, so I don't think there was anything funky. It was a Francis Lessard jersey and a couple other tough guy jerseys. So, and Paul, can I say what you do for me to act as an intermediary?
Oh, yeah, go right ahead.
So I'm nervous to ship overseas because I figure, well, if a package can get lost going to Georgia, and I was honest, I don't know if I could have fought because I trusted the collector. I like, well, I'll give you your money back. We didn't really have an arrangement if the jerseys get lost, so I was out the jerseys and the money. So Paul helps me as a intermediary on our friend who lives overseas. So because I'm scared to ship overseas now, just because that will always be in my head. Like, you know, it's mind blowing to me that you can get a jersey from LA or Northern California to, you know, Norwich, England. Like it's just doesn't. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but just the odds of it kind of maybe disappearing could happen. So Paul's been incredible to me. So I thank you.
You're welcome. Happy to help with that. And that's speaking of Europe, as we're doing the show, I have located a 2014, probably preseason jersey, Jimmy Beno jersey, Sharks, which is in Germany. Which
I'll take
so
it.
I'm heading there. I can bring it back for you if you're interested. So
You guys, I'm tapping the arm right now. I'm getting back.
yeah.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah. So yeah, let me know. We can talk about it after the show. But I also, well, I can embarrass Earl a little bit here too. We
That's
talk all
hard
about,
to do.
yeah. Well, I'm saying something nice, so that's why. I don't know how often you're used to hearing that. Um,
Fair.
yeah. Another thing we have in common is Earl is big into dogs and rescues, and just taking care of. We've had some health issues with our dogs, and I've chatted about that, and it's just you just have a tremendous heart, with dealing
Yeah,
and helping out other dogs, and uh,
I
totally
have to.
outside the topic, but yeah, go ahead, Earl.
Oh no, I mean this is this dog. If you could see that,
Oh yeah.
uh, was a. Uh, I do a lot of work with this one foundation, the LaBelle Foundation. They're out here. Sounds like a Quebec League name, but they give me the dogs nobody wants, and that German Shepherd was. They called me up and said, "Hey, this dog has 3 months to live. She's such a great dog. We don't want to put her down. Will you and your girlfriend at the time, uh, will you just give her a good send off?" And we got her to about 10 months, which
Wow.
was,
Good for you,
I mean,
Earl.
I mean, I have to put this picture up again. This dog was a model. And
Beautiful.
we think it was a retired military dog because every time we'd go out for a walk, if anyone was approaching me and my girl, the shepherd would do this weird, like, military stance and get between us. And every car we'd walk by, she'd sniff the wheel well. So, I love dogs. It's just they're another, I guess, way to forget about the stressful world I navigate. And then, dogs are just, it's unconditional love.
Love that. Love that story.
Kids are probably going, let's get back to the Jersey talk. You
Yeah, sorry, Earl. I had to
No,
bring that
no,
up.
Paul, I like that because I like hearing some of the other stuff people do outside of the hobby for other de-stressing. And yeah, Earl, I can't imagine the amount of stress that is involved in your line of work.
Well, especially like with, you mentioned roast battle earlier. Like, I'd never really been on TV before, so I walk out on stage that first night in Montreal, and my head, I'm going, okay, there's 1,000 people in this room, and probably I'll guess. I mean, it was an international show, so maybe 1 million people watching. I mean, my heart was just like levitating, and so to be able to either have a dog or collect a Jimmy Beno jersey, like it's just for that 20 minutes you spending researching Beno or Tony Twist or whatever, or watching a YouTube fight, maybe a jersey you're thinking of getting. It's for me. I've never had a drug in my life, which is probably most people hear me talk go, really? I mean, I've never had a cigarette, a drink, so I have no outside chemicals I take to like de-stress. So that's why the hobby meant and still means so much to me. Like I still watch hockey every night, go to training camp games, and of course, back in the day, I would go to training camp games to scout the new tough guys. So, hey, who's that number 85? That's kind of a weird number for a guy who's going to make the team. I might have to take a look at him. So it's, I mean, I kind of miss that, finding these obscure tough guys in camp on a tryout, and then they just disappear.
But you still go to games, though, it sounds like. And
oh yeah, I mean the Kings come to the Comedy Store all the time, and they're like, "Hey, let us know." I took a picture 2 years ago. I'm trying to think, it was Sean Walker, Sean Dursey, Kempe, Cal Peterson, Matt Roy, and maybe one other player, and everyone in that picture has been traded, except for Kempe.
Say maybe it's you.
I think it is. I mean, I'll never forget putting my arm around Matt Roy for the picture, and he doesn't look that big, but it was literally like hugging a brick wall. I mean, I don't think I've ever, like where George LaRock looks like a brick wall, Matt Roy is like solid. So, but they come, a lot of the coaching staff comes, and the equipment, shout out to the equipment staff. I mean, PLD, baby.
Yeah, that is gorgeous. For the people listening on the non-video version of the podcast, that is one of the silver mirror finish Kings helmets, and those are badass.
I'll show you what's even more badass than this. I have an Arthur's Kaliev stick. I don't know if you've. Can I show you that on this?
Yep. Yeah. Drag it over here.
We'll have Garrett Morris, do it for the. Yeah. No. I'll stay away from that one.
Now, we've all played hockey, watch hockey. You know what a typical butt end looks like. So I'm going to. This butt end is.
Oh my God!
How many rolls of tape does he go through?
Like a tennis racket.
Yes, well, it's funny you say that. I asked one of the equipment managers, "What's the deal with his butt end?" Sounds like a Seinfeld setup, and apparently he did play tennis as a child. So I can't. I mean, just to give you, that's
my God. That may put some of the goalie knobs to shame.
Oh, absolutely. I'm trying to really try not to hit all this. I mean, it's
my jeez.
It's underselling. Like I have a big hand, and I could barely. I mean, I don't know how he scores goals. No, he didn't score that many. Lois, I'm trying to do a stream. Will you be quiet? Now I know why Michael Vick fell. Good. I don't know how he plays hockey with this stick. So I every now and then will Lois. That part I miss of the hobby, like a unique stick like this, or this stupid helmet I have. It's so yeah, I'm a huge hockey fan still, and I'm excited about the season. The Kings have had some turmoil, so they I've never seen a team with 105 points bring in 5 free agents. That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Well, we can hope that there's change on the horizon for you, for San Jose, and for St. Louis, because we all did okay-ish. At least we made the playoffs, and
Kings made the playoffs too.
Well, yeah.
Well, they just we were up 2-0, and then the third game it kind of got away from us. And although I will say I was a fan of the goaltending challenge they did, but it didn't work out. But I will be there opening night. I'm so curious to see the reaction Corey Perry is going to get from King fans, because he might be the most hated player by King fans I've ever seen. It didn't matter what team he was on. Whenever they would play in LA, he would get booed unmercilessly.
They're going to love him.
I think the first time he scores a goal, all will be forgotten, or the first time he punches a guy in the back of the head, especially if it's against Edmonton. It's like, hey, we love this guy.
Yep, he's on our team now. We forget everything else. He's fantastic. He was always fantastic.
So I mean, and
Like
he's
when
still
Steve
good.
Ott came to St. Louis. Steve Ott coming to St. Louis was awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
hated him when he was in Dallas, and then
He showed up and everybody's like, "We love Steve Ott."
yeah, it's like when we got Sean Avery. Now I've actually got Sean Avery into comedy, if you can believe that, and he's pretty funny. Like,
Yeah.
you
I used
know,
to love his videos of him biking in New York and getting into arguments with people about their cars in the bike lane. Oh my God.
he's like that in real life. He came to see me once at the Comedy Store, and you had to be there. I'm going to undersell how funny it was. He parks in the red, gets off his motorcycle, walks past security. I mean, he was walking like Vince McMahon and Conor McGregor. He's just like he's got a presence to him.
Yeah.
So he stays for the whole show. He had to leave because I was doing like an hour, and he calls me up and goes, "Hey, who was that girl before you? She sucked." I'm like, "Oh, it's my friend." He's like, well, can I get her phone number? I want to tell her she sucks. So he lives the gimmick. That is who he is.
That's awesome.
Color me surprised.
I mean, yeah, but he didn't really do jokes, I will say, but he's a great storyteller. Like he obviously, supermodels and playing with Shanahan in New York, owning a bar, celebrity bar. Like he's got an angle that like most comics can't come from.
Yeah.
So you got any projects, things on the horizon, or just doing a lot of stand-up touring around?
A lot of stand-up touring. I'm believe I'm going to be on the Fox show Gutfeld, which is that's like a panel show that's real popular right now.
Yeah, very political show normally, I believe as well.
Yeah, well, I have a unique angle that it's kind of like Avery owning celebrity bars. Most comics can't say they own a celebrity bar. My first cousin is RFK Jr. So
yes, I was aware of that. I'm assuming not everybody was. I know our group probably all knew that, but a lot of listeners are probably very surprised to hear that.
Yeah, basically the connection is RFK Jr.'s mom was my dad's sister. So I think they reached out. They were kind of interested in that angle, and I'm not very political in my act because you're going to lose half the crowd no matter what jokes you're doing.
Sure.
And my material's not that strong where I can lose the crowd. That's what I'm doing next, although I don't know when. And that's in New York, so I love New York. I'm a late night person, and that's LA. Everything shuts down now at 1:30, which is late to most people, but to me that's early. And then a lot of voiceover auditions and cartoons, and I just did a Georgia State Lottery commercial. Buy your scratchers now, void where prohibited. Stuff like that. So I go on probably in a month, probably 50 to 60 voiceover auditions, and I'm in the best and the worst category for that stuff because I'm booming baritone, which there is not a lot of. So you'd think you get more work, but I go up against the same 10 people all the time, and they're famous. They're Dylan McDermott. I did audition for stuff that James Earl Jones passed on. Like James Earl Jones didn't audition. They were just, "Hey, you're Darth Vader. Do you want to do this?"
I'm busy this week. Get somebody else.
Yeah, more or less. That's what I have to hope for. I have to hope, Rob Riggle. I would go up against him a lot and still do. And so I've got to hope these guys are doing movies or they're just lazy and they don't want to do this cartoon. And then that's when I slide in. So it's a very, so I'm rejected in two portions of the entertainment world, stand up and voiceovers. So that's why the hobby and just watching hockey is a good way to get away from, getting rejected for so many gigs.
Well, and camp's open in about a month, which is scary, but so then you can be a little bit more focused on that and have a better stress reliever too.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw. I think the rookie tournament. I think is probably in like 3 weeks or something.
Yeah.
I think it's the same. Paul might know it's the same setup. I think it's Vegas, the Kings, the Ducks, the Sharks, I don't know if Utah's doing it this year, but I don't know where it's going to be. But last year when it was in El Segundo, it was awesome. You had 7 teams, all the GMs are there. That's where George McPhee was, Shane Doan, and scouts from other teams. Because I think Shane Doan's a scout in Toronto, I think now. So it has a hockey fan. It's like nirvana. Like you're just everywhere you look, there's a famous scout or an announcer or a GM or another player, and everyone's pretty nice. I mean, I got to talk to Pat Verbeek, who I hated him as a player. He was like the precursor of Corey Perry, to me. And I actually went up to him and said, "Hey, I used to hate you." And he just kind of looked at me like, "Dude, I got a lot on my mind, but I always wish you were on the Kings, though." And then he kind of smiled and then kind of took off. It's a backhanded compliment I gave him, I guess.
But we've all done that with players we hated or then got them to respect later and said, yeah, I got to meet Ed Belfour a few months ago. He was actually in St. Louis selling his bourbon. And same thing is, I was like, how do you feel being in enemy territory? I remember sitting behind the glass screaming at you. And now as somebody who plays goalie and just knowing what you did, I appreciate the hell out of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think now I've heard Belfour is a little prickly. I think was he nice to you though?
He was, but of course it was a bottle signing and people were spending lots of money to buy his bourbon. So always going to be a little nicer there.
I mean, I think certain players, they don't have much of a sense of humor. So, so if you ever see that Comedy Central roast of Chevy Chase, where you could tell he was getting pissed. He's basically like, "I'm more famous than all you people. F you guys. Why are you making fun of me?" Where other celebrities might be in on the joke. It's a roast, Chevy. But most of the players I've met have been awesome. I mean, all the Kings have been super nice. I got a bunch of the Buffalo Sabres in to the Comedy Store one night, and all Dylan Cousins and Tage Thompson and Tuck. They were all super, like at the Comedy Store, like that's like when we go to watch a hockey game where it's like, I guess it's a way for them to de-stress. And so I've been outside my one interaction with Bookberger, which was probably more on me than him. I've been very lucky with the players I like.
If you know the team's coming in for the Comedy Store, you ought to put up plexiglass so they can beat on it. Yeah, to the other way around.
Well, probably the funniest thing, and I'll have to clean up the story, was Paul Bissonnette I was on stage one night, and the club was emptying out because it was like a Wednesday night or something, and so I just start doing all hockey jokes for Paul, and he's laughing, but he had this really hot girl with him. I mean, L.A. hot, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, an 11 out of 10, and he finally raises his hand like we're in school or something, and he's like, "Hey, bro, you're really funny, but can you get to your closer? Because I got to take care of business." And that's not exactly how he phrased it, but
the color made shock there too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great guy. So it's neat for me to meet. I mean, we're all fans. Like, when I met Todd Ewan outside the Forum one night, I was like, you'd think I was meeting Tom Cruise. I was so in awe of him. Yeah. So. I think we're all like the hockey players are definitely the nicest.
Yeah, and I agree across the board. It's crazy how meeting some of the other people and they just don't care. But at the end of the day, the hockey players seem to notice the most of the fans are important.
Yeah, I mean, I think in LA especially, it's kind of the best of both worlds for them. I mean, you could, I mean, most of the Kings live in Manhattan Beach and Redondo, so they probably get a little more attention in that specific area. But like, Adrian Kempe can come to the Comedy Store and he's not going to be bothered. He can act like this. He's a comedy fan. I will say that one picture I took, that they were all following me around. I was giving them a tour of the Comedy Store because it's a pretty historic building, and people were like, "Who are these 7 good-looking dudes with Earl? Is he turning?" But in LA, I think they appreciate the fandom, but it's a relaxed, like Connor McDavid in Edmonton. I can't imagine he probably can't even go get gas.
Yeah.
and which is oddly enough why I'm hearing rumors about him to LA down the road. So he would probably love it out here.
That would be something. It's,
I mean, listen, if Gretzky can get traded twice,
oh yeah.
I can't imagine Edmonton would let him come here. I can't imagine what Kings would have to give up to get him. I mean, you'd almost defeat the purpose of who's he going to play with. If you trade half the team for him, so that's a weird one for me. Like, I'm assuming to get him. I'm not trying to start a rumor, but like you'd have to give up Byfield, Clark, 2 to 3 number ones, and maybe something else. So,
I could be wrong, but isn't he a UFA next year?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I think
they're working on a contract now, but
oh yeah,
long it's all kinds of stuff. But here, I'm not trying. But Earl, on the other hand of that, you would have to give up a shit ton to get him, but there would be plenty of free agent and other people that would probably be willing to take a discount to come to LA to play with him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to be dumb. I mean, secondarily, I'm sure they'd be able to fill the roster with plenty of guys who'd be happy to be on Team McDavid in LA.
Yeah, and 100%. He might be the first $20 million player, like, or close to it, at least.
I was reading today, they were talking that the deals were like in that 20 million range, like 17 and up is what they're talking about for annual on him.
I mean, I'm sure his jersey market is, but I'll guess with him, they're pumping out McDavid jerseys like madness. So
yeah, I still think, I mean, and this is kind of maybe off-putting a little bit, but I still think one of the reasons Edmonton took back their jersey program is they probably somebody at some point saw what Connor jerseys sell for, and they're like, "What the hell are we doing, letting these go to anybody else than us?" And
yeah, I mean, I know of a few teams, just through friends of friends who they went to migrate, just because I'm sure it's an easy process for teams. You guys deal with it.
Yeah.
Depending on the team, you see, like, God knows what Ovechkin's jerseys from this year went for. It goes back to, even for an NHL team, it's a business.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you see, who knows what they would pay for the whole thing, but if they see 5 Connor McDavid jerseys selling for, 150,000, they're probably going to say, hey, what are we getting in return for all of these, and how can we make it effective to keep them here and sell them ourselves?
I mean, that's where, we all probably have differing opinions. Like the Kings, I believe, I'm a little out of the loop, but I believe they handle their own jerseys.
Yeah.
You can
yes,
tell,
they do.
Okay. You could tell they don't know what they're doing. Like, they've got a Kaliev jersey, I think, for $1,000. It's like, that's insane to me. Like, that's worth maybe, in my weird guesstimation, maybe $400 to $500. Because I'm a fan of his. Obviously, I've got his tennis racket stick here, but he might be sliding into that bust category. I hope not, but
yeah.
And I spoke with the guy. At least he was running the memorabilia section of the team shop. I don't know if he's the guy who does the jerseys, and he was kind of clueless. They had a pair of Kovalchuk. I was a fan of the signing. I know I'm a weird guy with the things I gravitate to. Nobody liked Kovalchuk on the Kings. I thought he was great, to be honest with you, but they had his gloves for like $750. I'm like, that's probably about what his jersey should be at. And the guy was like, no, man, he's popular. I'm like, he ain't popular.
So the one thing I will say in defense of the Kings pricing, I believe a lot of that money goes towards the Kings Foundation, their charity. So at least it is a fundraiser for that. I don't think you get don't quote me on this. I don't think you get a tax deduction for part of it, but supposedly it funds the Kings Foundation. And
oh yeah, I mean,
in a way that is a good thing. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. But I think some teams know what they're doing. I know when the Rangers went to who did they go? It was Steiner. It's probably one of the
before Fanatics bought him.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's basically Fanatics Steiner, like the old Steiner.
Fanatics bought Steiner, yes.
That's probably one of my favorite memories of the expo. Is I'm buying an Andre DeVoe. He was I think he was like half black, half Indian. He was a tough guy. The jersey, it was a white number 33. Jersey had clear wear on it, like a couple puck and stick marks, and I think a repair. And the guy sells it to me as game issued, and I'm arguing with him, like because I'm super honest. I'm in the wrong business for that, but it was probably at that time $375, $400 ish jersey. He sells it to me for $150. I'm like, bro, there's wear on it. Like, look, this, and he's like, no, it's game issued. I'm like, okay, fine. Here's one, it's $150. Now, ironically, that's probably what the jersey's worth now. So, if that.
Well, we've taken up plenty of your time, and I know you are a very busy man. If anybody wants to follow you on socials, what's your handle across everything, if it's all the same?
It's the smartest thing. It's probably the only smart thing I've ever done in my life is everything is the same. It's just my name. It's EARL SKAKEL. I'm most active. If anyone's ever in LA, they can hit me up on Instagram. Say, hey, I'm in town. Can I come see your show? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm probably the most active on YouTube. So there's plenty of comedy clips, and I do a lot of live videos. So I guess I'm on X, but X seems to me to be like hockey fighting. It seems like it's kind of dying down. And I'm still on MySpace if you're real old school. So.
My page is still out there. I need to figure out how to sign back into it.
Ready, sir?
I went on the other day. I haven't been on my MySpace in a couple of years. And I would always wonder in that era of social media why no one would come to my comedy shows. And then I looked at my top 8, and it was 8 Chewbaccas. So that's probably why.
That might do it.
Yeah.
Wade, as we wrap this up, Wade, any final thoughts from you?
No, Earl, thanks for coming on, man. It was really a pleasure.
No, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a light up Wade sign for behind me. So I say Wade, like you're Earl. That's like my biggest take from the show is I got to get one of those.
A lot of people ask me why that's a weird font. If you
yeah,
look
it's awesome. And the stink mask. I mean, come on.
100%. No, here's the best part. Hold on here. The autographed Kamala picture.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love it.
If
We
you
can talk
look
wrestling after the show.
I'm a huge wrestling guy, as you know.
Yeah.
But if you look up Kamala Harris, that was his name, James Kamala Harris. So if you're a wrestling fan and you're just, Kamala Harris, the vice president's picture pops up, and you're like, it's total confusion. But that's the Rat font. My favorite 80s band is Rat with 2 T's, RATT.
Yes.
And I've become very good friends with the singer through strange circumstances. So I walked into a neon sign company down the street. I'm like, can you guys, because I didn't even know how to say the lettering style, can you guys have my name in neon, but in the Rat font? And the guy looks at me and goes, what the F is a Rat font? I'm like, well, here's the picture. And he's like, yeah, but it'll cost you $500. It's the best money I've ever invested, other than that Bolton jersey.
It's awesome.
So damn cool.
Oh, but thanks a lot for coming on, man. It's been a real pleasure.
I appreciate it. I love like I said, I think I reached out to Paul and I was like, I'd love to come on. Like, I never asked to be on anyone's podcast, but like
we're honored.
I'm honored because when I say I miss the hobby, I miss interacting with you guys. And like there's a ton of good people in the hobby that are like, I owe this to the hobby. I've made lifelong friends from it. So like you guys, John and Anthony, and several others, Bert, and like just many, many people. So it's time for me to give back to the hobby because I'm a selfish man.
Well, then hopefully we can get you out to Vegas in April.
Yeah, I mean,
the Expo.
Vegas is really a good comedy town. There's like 10 legitimate comedy clubs, and there's also a swingers club named the Green Door. Maybe I'll see a few collectors there. meet in room 2, and we'll have a jersey expo. Ask for Sheila.
Have some kind of swap anyway.
Yeah, a DNA swap. But hey, yeah, it's an honor to talk about the hobby with 3 good men, and I hope to see you guys in person someday.
Hopefully soon. Paul, any final thoughts from you?
Few quick things. When we make a mistake on the show, we live up to it and correct it like weeks or months or years later. So this Saturday, we're having this little get together, selling bobbleheads, whatever crap up at Mitch's place. And the Zamboni will be there. Come out and see the Zamboni. Where I screwed up, it's at his shop in San Carlos, not in Redwood City. If you go to Redwood City, you'll be a whole 2 miles away from where we're doing this. So if you're in the Bay Area, you want to show up on Saturday, ask Mitch, ask me, get on out there in San Carlos. Do not go to Redwood City. Other thing to mention, rookie face-off this year is just 3 teams: Kings, Ducks, and Sharks. It's in Irvine.
Okay.
On September 12th, 13th, and 14th. Monica has a commitment that weekend, so I won't be able to make it. I'm on puppy patrol. So,
Right.
But I'm sure you'll be there, Earl. And
yeah, that's a nice, with LA traffic, that's about a 3-hour drive, but I probably.
Jeez.
That's good. That's kind of, yeah, the Ducks are the host this year. So
That's a beautiful facility if it's where I think it's at.
Great Park Ice.
Yeah, it's like almost a Disney-esque type of hockey rink where it's even the parking lot's pretty. So that's weird that it's only 3 teams, but it probably 7 or this year was a little much. It seemed like it seemed a bit of a cluster. You know what? Just because you have an NHL rink where the Kings play and an Olympic-sized rink. So that was fun to watch the games on the Olympic rink because the players were definitely a little more tired.
Yeah, I wanted to make it down for that last year, but also had a conflict because I'm in that area quite a bit dog sitting. So
I mean, it was very well. I mean, as a fan, it was well done. You just go from one rink to the next, and you could interact with the players. Even the Ducks players were very cool to the King fans, and they're just kids. They're literally like how I was describing Jack McDowell throwing against kids with acne. Like these kids are like, it's crazy to see these athletes, and they've got acne, and they're like, most of the Duck players anyway were pretty skinny, and it was just like, it's so surreal to see young kids that they're living the dream. Like, and you could tell none of them. They all had really bad suntans. Like, they probably went to the beach or something the day before, and I don't think they've ever heard of sunscreen because they don't really need it. And Moncton or Winnipeg, but they're gonna have to learn pretty fast to get that skin moisturized.
Well, with that, again, Earl, thank you for reaching out to Paul and wanting to come on. It really does mean a lot. And you've been in this hobby a super long time, and appreciate your support with the show. And again, just you being another historian of the hobby, especially on the enforcer side of things.
Yeah, no, it's such a great hobby, and like you meet the best people. Like you guys will be lifelong friends, or are lifelong friends. That's what I love about the hobby the most. I mean, like you said earlier, the jerseys come and go. One day the Bolton jersey will. Well, I might take that one into the grave with me. We'll have a live auction.
So you're going to stink it back up then, is what you're going to do.
I'm going to wear it, and then you guys can unearth me, and it goes to the highest bidder. Or I'll just keep it with me in the box. So, by the way, can I? Hulk Hogan died, and I really think there was a missed opportunity for one more angle with him, where as they were putting his body into the ground, the Undertaker came up and just tombstoned him one more time.
You know what? People would have paid a lot of money to have that pay-per-view to show up and watch that happen. So yes, that is a money-making opportunity right there that was missed.
Well, I've got a risky joke I want to end the pod on, but can you guys take out something if it's too much?
Of course.
Well,
I'm not going to take it out. So,
Oh.
but thank you, Earl.
Hulk Hogan had some problems with racial harmony. Let's just put it that way. But ironically enough, he was cremated, so he ended up being black anyway.
Oh,
That is absolutely Earl. If go check out his YouTube, his Instagram. You are a gem that needs a lot more work out of LA. I love listening to the stuff that you put out on between Instagram and YouTube, and it is funny to watch. So everybody should love comedy. Go out and follow Earl across all the different socials.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy world, right now with the many things that are going on. And if I can provide what Jersey's provided for me, someone has a bad day or whatnot, come to a comedy show or watch one of my roast battle clips. By the way, I've never watched one of my roast battle clips. I had some issues with the network, but we won't get into that. But a lot of shenanigans on that show. So, but we'll talk about that on another podcast called Earl Hates Hollywood.
Well, thank you again so much, folks. Give us a like, a follow, subscribe, share it with your friends. If you want to come on, if you have ideas on what you want us to cover, please reach out. We love all those things. And that is even a slightly tinted visor too. That is top notch. The only thing that beat it would be the old Ovechkin reflective visor.
Well, that's probably my favorite. You asked me if I have a regret in the hobby. My head is big. I don't know if you guys could tell that. I mean, get a side shot for your fans.
Isn't that the rule to be in Hollywood? You have to have a big head anyway.
Well, I mean, my head is so big. If I was riding with Kennedy that day, he'd still be alive. So the only helmet that I could get to fit me was Anson Carter's mission helmet, which, because of his dreadlocks, it must have been custom made or something, and it fit like just, it was a sexual feeling when I would put this helmet on. It was so comfortable, and it had a Darth Vader mask on, so you couldn't see my eyes.
Oh, that's great.
I got mad one day and I threw it against the wall and it broke. So sorry.
No.
Oh no.
Well,
Sorry.
No, it's a great ending story. But again, thank you. Please enjoy and good luck with everything out in LA. Hopefully you pick up some more fun voice work and we can hear you in something else. Until next week. And Paul, you have a safe trip. If we don't hear from you while you're at the airport going to Germany, cannot wait to hear about all that when you get back.
Looking forward to it. So, and thank you, Earl.
Say hello to Mr. Krupp for me. I'd want to hit your.
I'll do that. Yes.
We'll see you back next week.